Hello friends, in this video we'll talk about migration pressure, staff shortages and new laws. Nawrocki has signed 5 laws. We have a set of extremely interesting and closely interconnected news stories in front of us. Well friends, the Polish state apparatus is not just tightening the screws, it's restructuring the very logic of interaction between capital, the labor market and regulatory bodies. The era of chaotic liberalism and open-door policies is a thing of the past, giving way to strict state pragmatism. Please like and watch the video to the end as we discuss everything now. Thanks to everyone who acts without hesitation. Just 2 seconds, simple steps. Yes, let me remind you that the best money transfer service is TransferGo. Send money to your family and loved ones if you have someone to support in Ukraine. The link is in the description. So let's go through the facts one by one and see where we're headed, whether everything is drifting or moving forward. So let's probably start with the collapse of the visa lottery and the triumph of deportation. Monumental figures that were recently released by the Ministry of Internal Affairs and Administration. And this ministry, under the leadership of Marcin Kierwiński, reports on its successes. But for hundreds of thousands of potential migrants, these successes sound like a verdict. Poland has officially and drastically reduced the issuance of visas and work permits for foreigners. To help you understand the scale of this turnaround, let's look at a comparative analysis for the first quarters. For example, if we take 2022, when PIS was in power, 123,000 visas were issued. 2022. Now, 4 years have passed. In 2026, 16,000 visas, that's a drop of 87%, 8 times less. Work permit, in 2022, 122,000. In 2026, 38,000. That's a decrease of 69%. The current leadership of the Ministry of Internal Affairs, without any embarrassment, why should they be embarrassed? Who should they be embarrassed in front of? You, crooked-toothed peasants, calls the practices of previous years chaotic and uncontrolled, declaring that from now on, that game is over. The official doctrine of Warsaw now sounds like this: immigration should bring only real, measurable benefits to the Polish economy. It must strictly correspond to the capabilities of the state and not undermine social unity. Anything outside that framework will be shut down. Well, let's talk about the students. Those who used Polish universities solely as a legal springboard to move to the Schengen area have been caught up in the crackdown. In 2021, 31,000 visas were issued to foreigners, but by the end of 2025, this number had decreased to 11,000 visas. That means a drop of 65%. The consulates have introduced strict document screening procedures. Yes, but it's not enough to just block entry. It's also necessary to clean things up inside the country. And here the border guards are breaking records. If in the first quarter of 2022 the border guards carried out about 900 deportation decisions, then in the first quarter of 2026 it's already 2,700. That's a 3-fold increase. Interesting number, isn't it? So next up, we'll talk about the staffing deadlock and the unexpected move by the Ministry of Labor. Let's use logic and look at the other side of the coin. It's logical to assume that if you cut the inflow 8-fold, and we're not talking about students, but about the inflow of workers, then inevitably production will start to suffer. Polish businesses have been crying out for a long time and continue to do so because of a shortage of workers, and they were eagerly waiting for a lifeline from the dear Ministry of Labor. This lifeline was supposed to be the so-called list of shortage occupations. Initially, it was expected that more than 300 specialists or professions would be included. Doctors, caregivers, and even welders, drillers, truck drivers, and construction workers. Yes, truck drivers or whatever the correct form is. For foreigners with such qualifications, they plan to launch a fast track. First track, right? Getting documents while bypassing the usual bureaucratic circles of hell. Officials promised to release this list as early as this summer. Summer came, and then at a meeting of the working group of the Social Dialogue Council, the ministry suddenly, and without any explanation, said, "Oh guys, you know, we have so much work." So basically the project is frozen and work on the list has stopped. I wonder if they even logged those hours, right? Or maybe no one did at all. Honestly, who are we supposed to report to? For Polish entrepreneurs, it was a wake-up call, right? The business world is shocked, logistics and construction are stalling, the shortage of skilled workers in medicine and industry is growing, and the government is intentionally blocking the simplified hiring tool. But why? That's it. For the same reason, the political direction to restrict migration is clearly dominating over the purely economic wishes of some employers right now. Maybe you should go work yourself. Stand at the machines next to your own workers. Security and strict control are considered more important factors than quickly filling vacancies at factories. Okay, look, I'm not criticizing, I'm just stating the facts. No value judgments. Next, we move on to Karol Nawrocki. May his days be long. The Poles are really lucky to have such a president. It's just fantastic. I'll tell you, friends, in Italy and Spain, everyone is jealous. They say, Nawrocki, wow, we wanted him too. And when he's done over there in Poland, can we invite him to our country? I say, of course, write him a letter, let him come. So, we'll talk about the presidential veto and the protection of small businesses. While the government is tightening the noose on migration flows at the very top of the Polish state pyramid, there's also some tension. The president of Poland staged a demonstration of political will for the officials. Yes, he signed 5 laws, but he firmly vetoed the 6th. And this veto is extremely noteworthy because it was about the large-scale expansion of the famous digital cargo monitoring system, SEND. Let me remind you, this system was originally created to combat fuel smuggling and tough tax fraud schemes. But the government decided to extend this total control to the transportation of concrete, construction mixes, textiles, and even clothing, because lately I've been struggling with the word. Well, never mind. Textiles and even clothing. Garment and textile businesses had to report every kilogram of goods to the tax authorities. So, President Nawrocki stood his ground and sent the law back. His argument was tough, but quite reasonable. Small and medium-sized businesses are the backbone of the Polish economy. By the way, there was a recent video about the Polish economy, but it has criminally few views. Friends, look for the video about the Polish economy on the channel. It was just about a week ago. So he says that we are the ones who will protect them, but unnecessary regulations turn any small shopkeeper into a potential criminal, someone the state looks at with suspicion from the start. Well, the business community breathed a sigh of relief. And look, I'm saying all this without sarcasm. Yes, you might be wondering, Ashtenchik, what did the president sign? Yes, 5 laws, they cleared the presidential office without issues. This is the law on nature protection. Now, killing or injuring a large protected animal, such as a bear or a bison, in a situation of extreme necessity to protect a person, will not be considered an offense. That is, if a bear attacks you and you rough it up, that's fine. As long as it's not the other way around, as long as the bear doesn't rough you up. The law on the system of electronic contracts, we'll talk about that separately. The law on electronic auctions in administrative enforcement proceedings. Amendments to the rules for legal consultants. And probably the thing that will affect us the most, the creation of a central registry for dogs and cats. A unified state system will replace multiple separate databases. Yes, indeed, the president demanded that the government fix the errors during this vacatio legis period, to reduce unrealistic fines for owners and improve the mechanisms for data transfer. Friends, what conclusion can we draw from all this news? The conclusion is simple and obvious. Poland, as of 2026, is undergoing a full-scale reformatting of its state model. The era of liberal anything-goes policies, when you could easily come on a fake work visa, work in construction without official registration, easily re-register an old car, all of that is coming to an end. The state is taking strict control over both external migration flows, tripling the number of deportations, and internal processes as well, at the same time. Within the Polish elite itself, there is quite a serious struggle over the boundaries of this control. Of course, the question arises, where does national security end and the stifling of small business begin? That's the news we have from wonderful sunny Poland. It's a beautiful country. I truly love it with all my heart, and I love all Poles. Yes, that's an official statement. Take a look. Well, I'm proud. I'm proud that I lived there for 11 years. Just a fantastic country, fantastic people, friends. So what else? What else did I want to say? 1 second, cheers. Friends, that's all for now. If you watched to the end, write the city you watched from. It's important. Dennis watched from Berlin, from Brussels, from Bielsko-Biała. Where are you watching from? That's all for now. Take care of yourself and your loved ones. See you next time.